Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Racha Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Caveman Malone strikes out again. Caveman Malone strikes out again. And this lesson was inspired by a video I watched earlier. I watched the whole thing. The up and coming young elder Karataza out in Vegas, the head of the Vegas camp, did a video based off of this live dealing with vocab. And this guy here, this is end times teacher. And every time he brought, because I couldn't see his face, when I was listening to it on the phone, and when I saw it, when I pulled it up, earlier here to do the lesson, I recognized who he was, So they were going into the topic of hell and topic of, how when one dies, no matter if they're righteous or wicked, they all go to the same place. The body goes to the earth and the spirit goes up to the Most High who gave it. There is no such place as hell, a place of torment. You have the grave for hell, and you also have a condition played out on the planet Earth for those people that are in a hellish type of state. There was another point that just came to mind, kind of escaped me. But if it comes back, I'll bring it out. And you also have another, because the Greek word for hell in most cases is Hades, which means the grave. But you also have something called Gehenna, which Gehenna was pretty much like a dump site. And pretty much this is where Jake was burning their sons to Molech and their daughters to Molech. And the Lord used that as a scenario for future judgment, which is the destruction that's coming, which is the lake of fire, which is not talking about a place that you burn forever. It's talking about, when the missiles hit, the fire that's going to come out of those missiles, that's the lake of fire. So America, Babylon the Great will look like a big lake of fire, especially from a bird's eye view. So what I wanted to do is I had a couple of precepts in mind I wanted to hit and touch on. One of the main ones is Job 3. We're going to go through some of that, and then a couple of other points and a couple of other precepts that came up. Because, here it is, we're at the end of the world. Prophecies are speaking loud and clear. Everything is pointing to the signs of Yahushua coming back. And we still have to defend, the truth of hell. Which is straight up, BS to have to, keep doing that. But we are defenders of the gospel, and that's why we do what we do. All right, so we're going to go here to the book of Job, chapter 3. And, this is something that we've gone over and over again. But, these wacky-tacky Christians, they're going to hold on to that nonsense, especially Caveman Malone, because he's an agent. He's an agent paid to do this. So it's easy if you have handlers and they're paying you, you don't have to work. They're paying you, they're paying your bills. They're paying you to have certain debates. I don't know if he pays guys to have these debates or not. I don't know the dynamics of it. I know definitely with Sarnetta, he has to pay individuals to do those debates and all of that. So I don't know how the whole dynamic works, but he's bought and paid for. So they're going to keep pushing that because, they have what you call gatekeepers, and they are, keepers of the white supremacist plantation Christian way. So Job 3:11, it says, "Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the spirit when I came out of the belly?" Meaning he wished he was dead. Why did the knees prevent me? Or why the breasts that I should suck? Right, he wished he would have been stillborn, not to have to come into this world to suffer. It says, for now should I have lain still and been quiet. Why? Because in the grave, no one is catching hell. No one is going through any turmoil or pain or anything like that. Everyone that dies, that body that dies, it goes into a rest mode. It says, I should have slept, then had I been at rest. Right. And this whole chapter is pretty much dedicated to death. And when you die, you be at rest. That's pretty much what this whole chapter is pretty much, dealing with. It's dealing with the grave, and when we understand that once the body goes into the grave, the spirit goes back to the Heavenly Father, which we're going to get that precept in a few. All right, Lord's will. It says, so when he died and was at rest, remember he said rest. He said dead, grave, which is death, which is Hades, Sha'al. Some say Sheol, right? And he said what would have been at rest, resting, not being troubled, not troubling, not catching hell, not burning, none of that. He would have been at rest. All right, right. Then it says what? With kings and counselors of the earth. See? So he would have been at rest with kings and counselors of the earth. Do not you have wicked kings and wicked counselors? So would they be at rest with Job? Yes. Because they all go to the grave. All right. And then we're going to deal with the spirit part, going to the spirit world. All right. So he's saying that if he would have been stillborn, he could have been quiet. He could have slept. He could have been at rest with kings and counselors of the earth, whether they were wicked kings or righteous kings, wicked counselors or righteous counselors, which built desolate places for themselves. All right. Or with princes that had gold. Right. Where? At rest in the grave. Do not you have wicked princes? Do not you have righteous princes? You see? Who filled their houses with silver. Or as in hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. And you have, in the scriptures say, whoever perished being innocent, and where were the righteous ever cut off? It says there, where? In the grave. The wicked cease from troubling. They don't trouble anyone, and they're not in trouble. They're at what? At rest. With Job, where Job wanted to be at rest, with kings and counselors, with princes, with the hidden untimely birth. Where? At rest. In the grave. All right. Must we look up the word rest? Maybe the word rest doesn't mean what it means. Maybe the word rest means to wrestle or to wrestle. Noach, which is where you get the word Noah, to rest. Rest, settle down and remain. Be quiet, to repose. All right. And this pretty much says the same thing, to be at rest. All right. And we read further down. It says there, where? In the grave, where everyone is at rest, where Job wanted to go, where princes and counselors were, where kings were at, where untimely birth at, where the wicked go, cease from troubling. They don't trouble anybody, and they're not troubling anyone. Why? Because they're at rest. Because Job said he wished he could die so he could be at rest, so he could be with kings and counselors, princes, hidden untimely births, where the wicked are. And there the weary be at rest. More rest again. The weary. The ones that are being troubled. There the prisoners rest together. They hear not the voice of the oppressor. Right. Because why? They're all in the same place. And the ones that do the oppressing can't oppress them. And the ones that are weary can't be oppressed. Because they're all in the grave. Dig it? Hades, Sha'awal. The small and great are there, where? In the grave. Doing what? Resting. And the servant is free from his master. Where? In the grave. Where they're what? At rest. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery. Right, in a hellish state. That's why King David said, the pains of hell got a hold of me. Because he was in a hellified state. You know? He was at the point of death. It says, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for what? Death. Why do the bitter in soul long for death? Because in death, the body rests. The spirit rests. It goes back to the Father, which we're going to get, Lord's will. But it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasure. Why? Because once one is dead, you're at rest. There's no more pain. There's, you know? This is why people, which we're going to get this in a hot minute, you know? Where is that at? You know, that's why people that have sicknesses, you know, want to go to the grave. They want to die so that they don't have any more pains. They don't have any more sorrow. You know, no more worries. Ecclesiastes 30 and 14. It says, better is the poor being sound and strong of constitution than a rich man that is afflicted what? In his body. And this rich man, he has all his money. He's afflicted in his body. He's sick. And he can't get a cure. So what happens? Eventually they seek for death so that they can be at peace, at rest, as we're reading in Job. It says, health and good estate of body are above all gold, and a strong body above infinite wealth. That's right. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. Death is better than a bitter life or continual sickness. You see? So that's why Job said that, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasure, which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they find the grave. So this is talking about death in the grave in general. And he's speaking about, you know, kings and counselors, princes, hidden untimely births, wicked being there, prisoners being there, the oppressed, you know, there were prisoners, the oppressed that oppressed the prisoners, all of the small and great, everybody was there doing what? Resting, at rest. All right. Now let's go from there to the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3. And let's read the 18th verse. I was going to say so. Well, hey, I'm just going to mess around, you know, just having a little fun. We finna get deep. We finna go deep. That's an inside joke back in the days. Give me Jeremiah 14:2. Ecclesiastes 3:18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that the Most High might manifest them, that they might see that they themselves are beasts. For that which befalleth the sons of men befalleth the beast. What's that? Even one thing befalleth them. As the one dieth, so dieth the other. So death befalls them all. Yea, they have all one breath, so that a man have no preeminence above a beast, for all is vanity. All go unto one place. What's that? The grave. All are of the dust, and all turn to the dust again. Dig it? The point. Who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth what? Upward. Hold it now. It didn't say the righteous. It didn't say the wicked. It just said, who knoweth the spirit of man that goeth upward. The word upward, ma'il. Higher part, upper part, above. On the top of, above. On higher ground than. Upwards, higher, above. Salakia. All right, Salakia for that, Salakia. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, cut this short. Got like a little emergency I got to take care of right now. So, Lord's will, I'll come back and I'll do, do a part 2 to this and finish it then. Salakia for that. So, Lord's will, you've been edified. You brothers and few sisters. And Lord's will, like I said, I'll come back and do part 2 to finish this up. Shalom.